Hello, dear students. Today we're going to talk about conditionals 0 and 1. At the end of the lesson, you are about to talk about facts and general truths. We would like you to talk about real situations in the present, and, of course, the most important thing for you is to use the conditionals 0 and 1 in your everyday situations. Some of you would say, but why should we talk about zero conditionals? Well, when we want to talk about what actually happens, we use the zero conditional. When we want to talk about what we wish to happen, we use the first conditional. What could happen? The second conditional. And what might have happened? The third conditional. All right. First of all, we're going to deal with the zero conditional. Let's get an example. Let's imagine that your maths teacher asks you to multiply two numbers. For example, 2 times 2. And we say, if we multiply 2 times 2, we get 4. What can we see here? That this is a fact. This does not depend on us. It is something that is always true. So how do we form the zero conditional? If plus present simple, one part of the sentence, and present simple, the other part of the sentence. Let's take another example. If we boil water, it evaporates. So, what do we see here? We have got two parts. One part is the if clause, and the other part is the result clause. We can see that in the first part, that is the if clause, again we have if plus present simple, one part of the sentence, and present simple again in the other part of the sentence. What can we see here is that the same sentence could be said differently if we start with the result clause and not with the if clause. But the meaning of the sentence does not change. So let's see that together. If we boil water, it evaporates. Or, said it differently, water evaporates if we boil it. Again, we have the result clause, present simple, and the if clause, if plus present simple. What we see as a difference between the first sentence and the second sentence is that here in the middle we have a comma, whereas here, when the sentence starts with the result clause, we don't have a comma anymore. Let's practice an example together. If you, the verb is put, ice in the drink, it, and the verb that you need is melt. So, what did we say? If plus, we need the present simple. So, if you, yes, exactly. If you put ice in the drink, it, the second part of the sentence, it melts. Very good. All right. Let's continue with the first conditional. Well, I woke up in the morning and I saw that the weather was not that good. So I said that, well, it might rain. That's why I was thinking of taking an umbrella with me. That is something that is not a fact anymore. This is something that is, let's say, possible in the present or the future. That's why in this case, we use the first conditional. If it rains, I will get an umbrella. This is not a fact, we said. We don't know if it is going to rain or not. We cannot be certain 100%. So, how do we form the first conditional? If plus present simple, there it is, one part of the sentence, and will plus bare infinitive, the other part of the sentence. Let's see that together. If it rains, so if plus present simple, the if clause, and the second part, will plus bare infinitive, that is the result clause. Let's take a look at another example. If you don't exercise, you will not be healthy. Again, if plus present simple, will plus bare infinitive. In the first conditional, we can use the word unless in order to say if not. So, instead of saying if you don't exercise, you can say unless you exercise. The meaning of the word unless, we said, is if not. So, the word unless is going to take a positive form and not a negative form, as we can see here in the first example. Whereas the second part is exactly the same. You will not be healthy, and again, you will not be healthy. Let's practice what we just learned. You, the verb is get, a good mark. If you, and the verb is study. Some of you find it much easier if you start with the if clause. But here, our sentence starts with the result clause. So, if you believe that it's easier for you to start with the if clause, you can start reading your sentence from the second part. So, if you, what did we say? Present simple. If you study, one part of the sentence, and the result clause that we said will plus bare infinitive, you will get a good mark. Well done. Now, I would like you to practice these 4 sentences as part of the lesson that we just did. Please take a notebook and keep a note of the sentences that we have here. I'm absolutely certain that you have the forms in your mind and the 2 conditionals that we just did. All right? So, let's start together. Number 1. If you drop something, it, the verb is fall, on the ground. First of all, you need to know which conditional is the one that we are going to use. So, are we going to use zero conditional or first conditional? That's the first thing for you to determine. All right. If plus present simple, we have here, and the other part of the sentence, that is fall, on the ground. What is that thing that if you drop it, it falls? It's something that is a fact, that is always true. So we're talking about the zero conditional. So what did we say in the zero conditional? If plus present simple, and the other part again, present simple. So it falls. Very good. It falls on the ground. All right. Let's continue with the second example. If I go to the party, I will have a good time. The verb that you need to use is the verb go. Again, we said that you need to determine whether it is the zero conditional or the first conditional. So, it's easier for you if you take a look at the second part of the sentence. Since you have I will have, this is easy for you to understand that this is the first conditional. So, in the first conditional we have if plus present simple. That's why in your verb here you have if I go to the party, I will have a good time. Let's continue with number 3. Unless you, the verb is hurry, you will miss the bus. Do you remember what we said about the word unless? The word unless means if not. So, and it is used in the first conditional. So, what are we going to say here? Unless you. What do we need? We need the present simple, we said. So, unless you hurry, you will miss the bus. And number 4, the grass gets wet if it, and you've got the verb rain. So, again, you need to understand which conditional is it. Is it zero conditional or is it the first conditional? This is a fact again. So, since it is a fact, it means that you are going to use the zero conditional. And what are we going to use? If plus present simple, that it's here. So, if it rains. And the second part, present simple, the grass gets wet. All right. You can continue by completing some extra exercises from your student's book, and I do believe that it is much clearer now what is the difference between the zero conditional and the first conditional. All right? Thank you very much for paying attention, and we will meet again. Goodbye.